Hello there, I'm Tanya Quinn and welcome to my kitchen. Tonight I'm going to prepare my rosemary pork tenderloin with a chive and onion cream sauce. I'm a 28-year-old new mom. I have a 4-month-old little boy, and my husband and I have been married for 7 years now. Is that too many math numbers? Too bad. Because it's just the two of us, I don't need a big roast, but I love roast. And so I'm going to show you how we can take a nice lean cut tenderloin and still have a great sauce in the end without having to worry about getting drippings for gravy. Let's go ahead and take a look at our ingredients. We have 3 tablespoons Dijon mustard, 2 tablespoons extra virgin olive oil, 1 tablespoon fresh rosemary, or 3/4 teaspoon dry rosemary. When you're working with dry herbs, you actually need less than fresh. It's normally a 1-to-3 ratio because it's more potent. 3 cloves of garlic minced, 3/4 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon ground pepper, and a 2.5 to 3 pound pork top loin roast. And then we're going to go over our sauce ingredients a little bit later. If you're wondering what the nice little cooing is in the background, tonight's meal is being filmed in front of a live studio audience, aka my 4-month-old that has woken up from his nap. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to combine my olive oil, my Dijon mustard, and my seasonings. He's probably just cooing because he's jealous that he doesn't get to eat this great meal yet. Now when you're going to mince your garlic, some people will buy pre-minced garlic in the grocery store, and that's fine. Or if you're going to mince it yourself, one easy trick is to put the clove in the microwave for about 10 seconds, and that paper that's sometimes hard to take off will actually just fall right off the clove. And then when you want to mince it, just use the back of your knife. That way it's going to actually kind of smash up the garlic clove, and then when you go back through to chop it, you're not going to have to chop and chop and chop forever to get it to that minced consistency. It'll save you a lot of time. Okay, so I've just kind of mixed together my mustard and oil, so I have a nice little rub. And we're going to spread that on the meat. Why don't you come in and take a closer look at this, because it is a wonderful little rub. I'm just going to spread that right over my meat. If you want, you can trim off some of the fat from your tenderloin. I kind of like the moisture and flavor that the fat adds, so I leave it on there. And when you're working with a roast, you like your meat to be nice, high, and compact. That's going to keep the moisture in so that you don't have these small sides that end up getting crispier and overcooked. That way it's nice and uniform all the way through, and it will cook evenly. So I've just kind of spread this over, and we are ready. That's all the prep work you need for this entree. I've preheated my oven to 375 degrees, and I'm going to go ahead and stick the roast in there. It's going to bake roast for about 45 minutes or until the meat thermometer reads 150 degrees. While that's going, I might, since I have my herbs and oil out, I'm going to go ahead and coat some potatoes, and I can actually stick those in the oven right alongside it. And at the end, I'll have my meat and my potatoes all ready. In the meantime, we're going to prepare our sauce, which is coming up right now. If you thought the rub was simple, wait till you get a load of this. The sauce is really simple. We only have 2 ingredients. We have 8 fluid ounces of broth and 8 ounces of Philadelphia cream cheese, the chive and onion. It's wonderful that they provide these flavors for you, but you can use the original flavor and it's going to be a great dish. So I'm simply going to combine in my medium saucepan my 8 ounces of cream cheese with my 8 ounces of broth. So I'm going to turn my stove on to a lower heat, and I'm just going to bring this to a simmer. We don't need it to boil, we're just going to incorporate. We're going to let that cream cheese just melt away, and it'll release all its wonderful flavors into the broth. And we'll just let it kind of combine, simmer to heat up, and it'll release a little bit of the water so that it's that perfect consistency of sauce. A little tip for your broth, you can actually use some homemade broth. Last time I made shredded pork, I saved out the liquid and I actually froze it in sandwich bags, 8 fluid ounces at a time. So I knew I could pull out of the freezer 8 fluid ounces of broth ready. I didn't have to try to chunk it off a big frozen chunk of broth. But if I didn't have that broth available, I could have just as easily opened a can of broth, and that would have tasted wonderful in the sauce. And I wish you could be smelling right now the sauce on the stove along with the meat coming through the oven, because this chive and onion cream cheese is going to be a perfect complement to the rosemary rub that we have on the pork roast. So I'm just going to let this simmer and reduce, and when we come back, we'll look at what it's like when it's all finished. Okay, so we've let our sauce reduce, and I just wanted to give you an example of what I meant by nappe. If you look here, come a little closer. I'm able to stir it, and it's nice and creamy and smooth, and then I coat the back, and it kind of stays there. That way I know, nappe. Don't worry, my hands were washed, and they'll be washed again. But we're going to go ahead now, and I've temped our meat. I've taken the temperature of the meat, and we've reached our 150, and I won't burn myself. That would be embarrassing. Okay, we brought our meat out of the oven at 150 degrees, and I'm actually going to let it rest for 15 minutes. It's really important to let meat rest for a couple of reasons. One, it's coming out of the oven, and it's so hot it's going to keep cooking. Two, if I were to cut into it right now, all the steam would release, and that's moisture from the meat. So we let it rest in its juices, and it'll actually just soak up its juices again, leaving you with a moist cut of meat. And because I made my sauce while the meat was cooking, my sauce is ready, it's creamy, and that chive and onion flavor is going to blend nicely with the rosemary rub, and we are ready for dinner. Thanks for coming by. Well, I've enjoyed my roast. Not the whole thing. I invited friends over to enjoy it with me. But I wanted to share one more thing with you. I was glad I didn't have to use the trimmings that came off of it, because as I look at it, I'm seeing a lot of oil and fat. And because I used broth and of course the Philadelphia cream cheese, I had a wonderful and healthy alternative to your traditional gravy. Just thought I'd share that with you before I slip into my meat coma.